I'm doing great, even though every day's not fine. But still I woke up today, another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa, effort ang billkorban rin. Whoa, whoa, effort ang billkorban rin. I'm doing great, even though every day's not fine. But still I woke up today, another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa, effort ang billkorban rin. Whoa, whoa, effort ang billkorban rin.
Good evening and welcome to Between the Lines, presented to you by Live Wire Sports. Tonight, our special guest is Mr. Mark Daniel. Mark, how you doing today?
Hey, good evening, Shaq. I'm good, man. Honored to be on the show tonight.
I hope you're ready for this one. This ain't no regular interview. This is an interesting one. We get some facts that come in along, and we get some opinions that you're going to share too. So hope you're really ready for this.
Well, let's go.
All right. So growing up, Mark, did you play any sports in the community in the Virgin Islands?
Yeah, I grew up, I went to Corwin Terrace Elementary School. Right now it's Gladys Abraham. Gladys Abraham was actually my principal. So while I was at Gladys Abraham, we did track and field. And that was it, I believe. We had an exhibition baseball game one year. I think I was in 5th grade that year. I think we played against Women's School, but that was a long time ago. But it was just that one game. When I went to Cancrane, I played flag football and I played softball for the school. And at Charlton Mali, I played football. So those were the sports that I played in school. I started playing volleyball in the summer league when I was about, I think I was about 13, 14 years of age. Mr. Claxton got me into the league and I played volleyball outside of school. So the first time I actually played volleyball for school was when I was in college. So, so that's a sport I ended up playing when I went to college.
All right, so you have to start. So we have to count all those sports because I feel like I have 5 sports that you played. So you can listen for me one more time.
So I ran track.
Track.
I played softball and flag football at Cancrane. And then when I went to Charlotte Amali, I played football also. I wanted to play basketball. I had an interesting story about that. When I was a freshman at Charlotte Amali, I wanted to play on the JV basketball team, but they didn't have a team that year. So I went to Mr. Bonds, my PE teacher, and I asked him, if they're going to start a team or what's going on. And he told me no. So I said, well, if I find some players to play, would you be able to, put the team together? So, I guess he wanted to get rid of me. So he said, yes, I don't know. But I went and I got 12 players. And I took him the list and I was like, look, I got 12 players ready to go. But he was, he wasn't interested at all. He wasn't hearing it, feeling it. And at that time, I wasn't as confident in myself to go find another teacher to ask them, well, right then, Mr. Solomon was there, Mr. Estrella, all of them was there, but I never had the confidence to go to them as a freshman in high school to say, look, I have 12 guys who are willing to play some basketball, help us out, help me out. But I didn't get to play basketball while I was at Charlotte Mali High School. So I don't think I didn't try out again until my senior year. So, and I was one of the last courts, but I didn't make it my senior year. But anyway, so I played volleyball in college. I played at UVI and I also played at the university, at Liberty University. I played club volleyball in the States.
Now, what made you decide to choose volleyball over the other sports that you played? You played 4 or 5 different sports. What made volleyball stand out to you?
Well, when I learned to play volleyball, it was just fun. So, and back then, volleyball was like an all-year thing. I didn't play in school because it conflicted with football. I grew up playing football. When we was at Gladys Abraham, when we were at Corwin Terrace, Mr. Bratwit and Mr. Joyner used to play with us every lunchtime, some big football games. And one of my biggest memories of elementary school was, we had a game and it was the last play of the game, the bell rang, and I don't know if you know the makeup. Well, you're a baseball player, so you know the makeup of Corwin Terry School. Mr. Bratwit was all the way next to the fence closest to the school. And it was the last play of the game. So, last play of the game, you threw in a Hail Mary. And I was on the other end close to the sandbox. And that ball must have been in the air forever. And I was a little kid. So I just call up in a ball and I just kind of let the ball just fall in my lap. And, that was a vivid memory for me. So I was just hooked on football. So when I went to Charlotte, when I went to Cancran, I played football 7th grade and 8th grade. I made a team both years. 9th grade year, I didn't play. I didn't try out for the varsity team. I didn't have the confidence in myself. But my 10th grade year, I made it 10, 11, and 12th grade. And I started my 11th and 12th grade years for Charlotte Amalie High School. Now, to answer your question, how I like, why did I stick with volleyball? Volleyball was just fun. Back then, you had Power League and you also had Summer League. So I played in the Summer Leagues and the Power League. And the Summer League was fun. It was co-ed. It was, it was just fun. And then Mr. Blake, Coach Blake, was the coach at UVI. And, so I just went and trained with him when I got out of Charlotte Amalie. I went to UVI for 2 years. So it was fun. And then when I went to college, we didn't have a school team per se, but what happened was they had a club travel team. And I got volleyball tryouts. And Liberty University is a predominantly white school. And so when I went to tryout, it was me and this other boy, Samuel from Antigua. And the two of us went, the only two black boys in the gym for volleyball tryouts. So we did all warm-ups and all that stuff. And when it came time to hit it, me and he look at each other. And that's the first time I met him. I didn't meet him. I didn't meet him from before then. And I think he hit before me and he went and he wheeled the ball down, plateau. And it was my turn next and it was plateau. And them boys just look at us and like, what? Where I come from? And so I made the travel team, ironically as a setter, but we used to travel to different schools and playing tournaments and stuff like that.
So what was the experience like for you playing volleyball at the collegiate level? Though it wasn't actually sanctioned collegiate sport, it was still collegiate athletics. What was it like for you playing on that level?
It was fun. We traveled. I learned a lot. We had a little guy who used to play outside. And I learned the strategy of the game. I mean, I did learn a lot from Mr. Blake. But when I went up there, I actually learned some other nuances. We had a little setter a little outside hitter. He was about 5-0, could have barely jump. But he used to tell me, his name was Rusty. And he would tell me, set the ball shot. Don't push the ball all the way out. Just set it shot. And I was like, why you want me to set the ball shot? I said, okay. So that's what you want, I'll do it. So I started setting his shot and he just started went up there and just raking the ball. And of course, they were going in because the blocks were going all the way on the outside. If you understand volleyball, the blocks were going out to the antenna. So then after a while, he looked at me and said, okay, now push it out. And you see, when he told me to put it in, he wasn't really hitting the ball hard. He was just tipping the ball, dinking the ball. He was just moving the ball. And then when he told me to push the ball out, I said, okay. I push it out. He jumped up and he just started wailing the ball up and down the place. I was like, what? So it was just, just a little difference in the nuances of the game. But it was fun. We had some fun. And I played there for a year. The second year, the program kind of faltered. The individual who was running it, he graduated, and no one else picked up the slack to do it. But it was a good time for the time it was there.
Now, we do like to focus on the fact that we have collegiate athletes, but at the end of the day, being a collegiate athlete means you're a student athlete. You went to school to get a degree. Can you share with us what your degree is in?
I started at UVI as an accounting major, and when I went to the university, when I went to Liberty University, my college roommate, he asked me a simple question because I was struggling in accounting. He's like, "How you gonna be an accountant and you you're passing, but you're barely passing. It's like, you got a good point. So I actually changed my major to biblical studies. So my undergrad is in theology, and my master's degree is in sports administration. When I went back to school, I got a master's degree at St. Thomas University for sports administration.
Now, with you going back and doing your master's degree, what made you choose the path of sports when your undergraduate was in, what is it, bibliology?
Theology. Well, when I came back home, I took some time off, and ironically, I have always been good with kids. I started coaching when I was like 16 years of age. So I've always known if I was going to do anything in sports, it more than likely would have been coaching. That's what I love to do. And I've been good at it for a long time. So, and ironically, the thing I didn't want to be was a teacher, because teachers don't make no money. So that's why I chose accounting, because accountants don't make money. And ironically, I turned out to be a teacher. But anyway, so when I came back home, I got a job at All Saints. So I became the physical education teacher at All Saints, and I loved it. At the time, All Saints really didn't have, All Saints had sports, but they didn't really have as many sports. And I put them in everything. We had flag football, JV varsity, volleyball, baseball. Back then I think baseball started while I was at All Saints. So we had a baseball team, and we had good teams. We had some good baseball teams. Softball, anything you had a sport for, we were in. So I remember one time there was a track meet, and I didn't realize track was going on. So when I learned that track was going on, I said, well, can I put a team in? And Miss Hart said, yeah, you could bring a team from the school for the last meet. It was the last meet of the season. So I had a tryout in 1 week. So I had a tryout in the yard the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday. I think the meet was on the Saturday. Saturday, Saints came down there in big numbers. And we did well, man. Those kids did well. We had Mr. Abraham, not Mr. Abraham, what's his name? Lord, for Gladys Abraham School, who's out, Vincent Henley. We had him sweating bullets for a little bit, because we had some runners. And our 4x4 team, it came down to a photo finish. He beat us by a step. And I had some girls that did well, the boys did well. And I think if we had known about the meets long and were there for the entire season, we would have fared a lot better. But it was a good experience for those kids.
So you spoke about coaching sports back a little while back. Are you coaching any sports currently?
Yeah, I'm coaching. I'm the basketball coach here at Untitled School. I've coached the elementary team, and I've coached the varsity team and the JV team. So I'm coaching all the girls basketball here at the school right now. I coached the softball team in the past, and I want to get back into that. I like coaching girls sports because it seems to have a void when it comes to the young ladies. We don't have too many people that really focus on the young ladies outside of school sports. So I'm glad Richie is doing what he's doing with softball. For a while, we didn't have volleyball. We didn't have any power league. We haven't had summer league in a long time. So I started something through my club that I have some young ladies playing on my volleyball club. But I've been really focusing on girls sports to get the programs built up so our young ladies could have a venue or outlet to play sports. I have coached boys basketball and baseball. I've coached everything, because I've coached volleyball, I've coached flag football. When I was at Charlton Mall, I think I've coached every sport, and I've coached at pretty much every school. I coached flag football at Charlton Mall with Mr. Tadbon. He was my coach when I was at Charlton Mall. Him and Sticky, two good coaches, man. So I coached flag football for a couple of years at Charlton Mall. I've coached at Ken. I've coached volleyball at Ken. I've coached volleyball at Catholic School. All Saints. I've coached almost every sport at All Saints School. And I think those are all the schools I've coached at. that I can think of. So, but I've coached and I've coached a lot and been to many schools, and I've done well.
Now, when did you realize that you could have a career in the sports industry without playing?
Well, I realized it for a long time, because to be an excellent athlete, you have to have a certain mindset. And like my brother, my brother, I have two brothers. One of my brothers is 2 years younger than me, and we grew up playing basketball and stuff together. So, and football, everything that we did, we kind of did it together. But the difference between him and me is his mindset. He has a strong mindset. You can't tell him what he can't do, because he gonna do it. And I just didn't have that mindset. So I know as a player, I'm not sure. It didn't take me far because of my mindset. But because I know that now, it makes me an excellent coach, because I push my kids to do things that they don't think they can do. And for me, once I can see that you can do it, I just tell you can do it. And even if you don't think you can, I tend to get the best out of my players. And I think, that makes me a good coach. So I know from an early age that I love to coach. I love kids. I can relate to them. I can relate to them. So being a coach for young people was a natural fit for me.
Now, focusing on volleyball, what age levels do you coach when it comes to volleyball?
All. I've coached for the senior national team to the youth national team. One of my favorite teams is the youth, the team in 2012 where we won the Caribbean Championship. I believe I'm the only coach right now that has won an international championship in the Virgin Islands for volleyball. But I think that's going to change soon, because Raphael Isaac is he knocking on the door. But
name any of the 2012 team?
Say that again.
Can you name any of the players from that 2012 team where you won?
Yeah, man. That team: Nabo, Zaya, Jordan.
We're gonna need some government names here.
Oh, government names?
That's a big accomplishment. We need some government names.
Well, I don't think people know Nabo's real name, but Nabo Gonzalez, Nabo is his real name. He was the MVP of the tournament. And we had Zaya Thomas. Zaya Thomas, he was the other juggernaut. And then we had some baseball players like Lakeith Pratt. We had Ajayi. We had Tahir. We had Walwin. What's Javon Walwin? We had Chandler, Jordan, and Senoa. How I forgot about Senoa. Senoa, Chino. We had a good team. And what benefited that team was the team was supposed to play. The tournament keep getting pushed back. Mm-hmm. Because originally it was supposed to happen in the summer 2011, I believe, 2011. And it got pushed back to December. So all this time we practiced it. And one of the things for us that benefited us, only three of the players were from St. Thomas. The rest of the players were from St. Croix. So we were able to go to St. Croix on a regular basis. Like every weekend we were in St. Croix practicing. And so every time they pushed back the tournament, it gave us more time to practice. And then also we got a coach from St. Croix and from Puerto Rico that came and helped with the training. And then we also had a coach from York College. He's originally from St. Croix. He came home for the Christmas break and he found himself in the gym working with the kids, training them. So not only did we had a very athletic team, but we ended up building camaraderie. And I told Ms. Hobson, I said, we haven't won anything in years. And since we were hosting, we were able to set the schedule. And I tell her I want to play the champion first. I want no easy game first. I want the hardest team first. Mm-hmm. So we played Curacao and we beat them 3 sets to 1. And then we had the easy game, which was, I believe, Bahamas. We beat them in 3 sets. And then we had the big showdown, which I'll never forget this, because back then, Barbados, if you know anything about volleyball in Caribbean, on the men's side, Barbados was the powerhouse. And I could just remember the Barbados coach just sitting back before the game, just like, man, this is nothing. Because they were 2-0 at the time, and we were 2-0 at the time. And I just saying to myself, yeah, we got him. Because he just knew that he was going to beat us. And we beat them 3 sets to 1. And then we ended up in a championship game against Curacao, because Curacao upset Barbados in the semifinals. And then we ended up playing Curacao again. We won the first 2 sets, and then Zia had a little meltdown. I told him in the huddle, I said, look, we've been winning the first 2 sets and losing the 3rd set and winning the 4th. Let's win the 3rd set. So I kind of put a little pressure on them, and we get out the gate slow, and Zia just took it personally, and it was bad, but took him out of the game, got him to calm down and everything, and then everybody else collectively together, and then we put them back out in the 4th set, and we won the tournament. So that was a good team. And the other teams I coached, the national team at Trinidad, we went to Trinidad and came in 2nd place. We beat Trinidad in Trinidad, and they had players like Brandon Vallop, Shamoy, Gerali, Jelani. I think Centron was on that team. Gustav Centron was on that team. Mark Lomelli was a setter. Who else was on that team? I don't think Leon was on that team, but that was a good team too. And Chiki was on that team from Ken. So we had a good team. And we came in 2nd place in that tournament.
With something like successful as winning that championship in front of your home crowd, basically at home, was that your greatest moment as a coach?
Oh boy. It was one of them. I think I got 2. Well, I got a few, man. I remember when I first started coaching at Alsane School, and I took the boys to St. Croix. And the first year we went, we lost. We weren't good at all, and we got beat bad. And then the next year we had a good team, and we went to and we played Complex. Complex had a good team. Jelani was still in high school. Alex was a setter. They had a good team, and they were undefeated at the time. And we had the last game of the night, and they didn't know who we were. So we flipped the coin, and Complex was warming up, and Jelani and them boys were just ripping the ball, blah blah blah, and then and my boys were just itching because my whole team was over 6. My starting 6 was over 6 feet. I was the shortest man. I was the shortest person there. So coming from this little private school, All Saints. So then when they got off the court and we start to warm up, I think we must have saw maybe 2 balls, and then say, man, we want to hit. And so when they start hitting, platow, platow, people were leaving the gym. But when we start warming up, they start coming right back in the gym. And that was a game and a half. We won that match in 3 sets. And I remember myself stop coaching. I was just watching the game because it was such a intense good game. Another memorable moment I had was the B team when I got here to Antilles the first time. I think it was a strike here or something, but Antilles had already picked the team, and it was in doubt if we was going to have a strike or something like that. So we decided that we were going to have a B team. So I took the girls who didn't make the 18, and then Shanti Cooper had transferred from Charlotte Mali, and since the 18 was already picked, she came on the B team. So we were the B team, so nobody didn't think we would have done anything. We were supposed to be the second string. So we went to St. Croix and we won the 2 tournaments in St. Croix. We beat Central in the finals in both games. The first time in Central upset our A team in the semifinals, and we beat Central in 5 sets. And then at complex tournament, we beat our A team in the semifinals. I took them girls to Armstrong ice cream right before the game. So we went Armstrong ice cream, got some ice cream. I took them to the game. I guess they went on Sugar High. And they went in there and we beat the A team. So, and then we beat Central again in 5 sets again. So that was a memorable moment there. So yeah, so those were a couple of my memorable moments. And well, I think the team that I'm most proud of is the team, my Antilles team in 2016-14 with Kiana and Alex and Salome. Those young ladies, I don't think we didn't have the star players like Charlotte Amali and Udorican had that year.
Right.
But I taught them, we walked and passing a lot, and I taught them how to hit in the backcourt, and I taught them different things. And they played together as a unit. And we ended up winning the league that year. We beat Charlotte Amali in their place, and then Charlotte Amali beat us here in our place. But I wasn't too concerned because I was missing one of my key players when we played Charlotte Amali the second time. And then in the championship game, Miss Janelle said she play anyway, so we ended up here at Antilles School, and we won the game in 5. So that team I'm very, very proud of because they played above themselves.
Now, one of the things as a coach that's very important is to get your athletes prepared for the next level, both physically and mentally. Were you able to get any of your players onto the next level through a scholarship?
Yeah, I was able to get a few. Ironically, I don't know if you know Danielle Selkridge. She came to Antilles School. I remember the first time I saw her was at a tournament at UVI, and she was 14 years old at the time. And I was like, excuse me? So I told Charlie Davis, who was the AD here at the time, and I told him we need to get this young lady at our school. So she of course she was going to school in Tatola. So she graduated, she finished, so she came to us for 1 year. And I put a whole team together to go to the States just for her, so she could be seen. And it worked out. The Georgia Tech coach, I mean, when she went up there, she was so raw. Like she was 6'2", but she could hold on to a basketball rim. And she could jump. And all the scouts was really looking at her. And the scout for Georgia Tech was so impressed with her that he took the whole team on a tour of Georgia Tech campus just to try to get her to come to Georgia Tech. And he actually flew down here a few times to get her. But she ended up going to Tampa. And her senior year, she was the collegiate Division II player of the year. Not for her conference, for the whole Division II volleyball, she was the collegiate player of the year.
Listen, that's big time right there. That's something she's in the history books forever. That's great.
I also helped Kavisha. There's some twins in St. Croix, Kavisha and Kavina. I helped Kavisha get a scholarship to Shaw University. Jarvis had, he does his camps, and he does his what he calls them, his showcases. So he had a young lady come who was a softball/volleyball coach. So I had her walk out for Kavisha because at that time she was going to UVI. And the coach liked what she saw, and she ended up getting a full scholarship to Shaw. And her senior year, and she actually her team won, I think, 2 or 3 conference championships. But her senior year, they won the conference tournament, and she was the conference tournament MVP. So that's
great to see how one moment can just like change your life. Because I'm sure she didn't expect to just walk into a scholarship opportunity, but that's great to see her take the opportunity and make something of it.
Yes, and there's many others over the years, but those are the 2 main, I guess, big name ones. But yeah.
All right, so let's jump into your current career here now. So what is your day-to-day job? What do you do?
At Antilles, I'm the AD, so I run sports for Antilles School. So at Antilles School is a lot different because we have a robust elementary program, and we have a JV program and a varsity program. So in a year, every year we have 30 teams that we're trying to take care of in terms of dressing them, getting them to and from games, practicing, coaching, and all of that. So it's a big task. I have help with Mary Howe. She's the elementary PE teacher, and she helps me out a lot. But it's a daunting task trying to get all these sports together with the practices, the schedules, and all the stuff that it entails in putting a program together.
Now, how long have you been in this position as the elected director there?
This is my third year, I think. I came back home 2017 after the 2 storms, and then the following year I became the AD. So it was so 2 years now.
So now, was this a position that you had before you left St. Thomas, or no?
No. Before I went to St. Thomas, I was working in Department of Education as a health and PE coordinator. And when I was working here before, I was the elementary school PE teacher. And back then, I coached the elementary basketball team. I coached the elementary boys basketball team. I coached the B team for volleyball. I coached softball. I coached JV girls softball. Pastor Jeff was a coach for the varsity, so I coached JV girls softball. I think those are all the sports I coached back then.
Now, with you being the elected director, what are your day-to-day requirements? What is
is to make sure that all the kids are ready for practices, and I also teach, so I also have classes that I have to teach on a daily basis. But I just make sure that all the schedules are in place and everybody knows the practice schedule, because we have so many teams. We have to make sure that we have a set schedule so nobody gets lost in the shuffle. One of the things I try to stay up on is academics, because I don't know about other schools, but at this school, if you fail it, you can't play. So I try to stay on top of the kids with the academics, make sure that they understand that, hey, you have to do what you're supposed to do in the classroom, and in order for you to play. So I try to keep a tab on that. I did start a kind of mentoring program, and it wasn't as robust as I wanted it to be, but I made an attempt. But I'm gonna get better with that program, because our students have to understand there's students first, and then athletes second. So those are the most important things that I have to do, and just keeping everything running. Make sure we have equipment, make sure we have uniforms, make sure the transportation is set. Now we have a van, but before we didn't have a van, so we had to rely on taxis and all of that stuff. So, and sometimes on a given day, we may have four teams going different places to play games. So it could get a little daunting, but it's the job.
Now, I heard you mention over just about 30 different teams, 30 different activities going on. While we know that Antilles has a football field, why does Antilles not field a tackle football team during the school year?
Well, okay, so this is what happened. The RWACs, which is a combined team for public-private, for the private schools, sorry. So when in 2000, when football came back, you had Eudora Ken, you had Charlton Marley, and you had RWACs. And in St. Croix, you had the 2 public schools and the 1 private school. So the headmaster at the time, when he came and he was overseeing the program, he wasn't satisfied with the level of insurance that was being rendered acquired for the program and for the children. So basically he pulled the school out. He pulled Antilles School out from being the lead school for the program. So by them doing that, and so Antilles kids could participate in the club, but they couldn't, the club couldn't no longer practice at the school. So the RWACs program had to start practicing out at Freedom Hall, I think is where they ended up practicing. So now because Antilles School pulled out, there wasn't, the program didn't have a covering. So meaning that since Anthony School initially was the school required for that was being the administrator for the school, for the team, sorry. Once Anthony School stepped away, no other private school stepped up to be the administrator for the team. So because of that, the RWACs had to come into the league as a club. So now for them to come in as a club, the club will have to pay fees and stuff, because even though the children are enrolled at member schools, the football club that they're playing with wasn't officially a member of the IAA. So that kind of got convoluted, and it became problematic. And then one of the young ladies that were running the RWACs, she relocated, and the other young lady just didn't want to deal with the stress and the stuff anymore. So I am presently actively trying to get RWACs back up and running, and we have ADs at the private schools who are willing to join the fight. So within the next couple of years, I strongly believe that there's going to be a resurgence of the RWACs, or if it's not called the RWACs, it'll be called something, but the private schools will have a tackle football presence here shortly.
Now, that would be a great thing to see, to be honest, because I remember at one point, the RWACs won, was it 2 or 3 or maybe consecutive championships? So that's definitely a team that will challenge both Charlotte Amalie and Eudora Ken, and as well as would love to see the private schools come back in St. Croix as well. They had their private school Pirates team. I'm not sure what happened with that situation, or if you can provide insight, but it would be great to see 6 tackle football teams. That's more games, more game film. That's the most important thing. So getting the private schools back in the football thing and building football here would just be something great to see.
Yeah, and I mean, and ironically, about that RWACs team, the one volleyball team I told you about that we went to St. Croix, that year that we won the championship for volleyball, we didn't practice. We practiced maybe 3 times for the whole year, because Kenneth Arthur, Jason, Brian McCoy, Thomas Bruton, all of them on the football team. So the deal I made with Jarvis was you keep them for football, but when we got games, they got to come play games. And I knew the level of skill that they were at, because I trained them and I took them into the Power League, and I took my little brother and I think Shamoy, I got some other players, and we played together in the Power League. So I knew that they were ready for the high school season. So, and then back then, I mean, UVI and BVI used to bring their national team to play in our league. And BVI had a good team, Strikers had a good team. So it was good competition. And if we could go and hang with those guys, I know the school league would have been a piece of cake for them. But it was funny, because we almost didn't go to that tournament, because I think they had a football game over here and they had to choose. And I like, Jarvis, you don't want to make them boys make a decision, because they're going to come play volleyball. So I try and work with you, because them boy, how I got them hooked on volleyball. BVI and UVI had a game at Eudora Ken, and I got all them boys up together, and I went. I took them to watch the game, and it went 5 sets. And I mean, them boys were chopping each other. Them boys were playing good, and all them boys were just sitting watching, like
amazed.
Yeah. So I knew I had them hooked from then. So and for some of them, I had to go make them play volleyball. I mean, football. I said, look, man, go play football. It's all right. We're going to be all right. Just go play some football. So, but we need to bring our wax back and give our children another outlet.
All right. Right now, we're actually going to take a break, but we'll be back with more Between the Lines here with our guest, Mr. Mark Daniel. And we are back with more Between the Lines with our guest, Mr. Mark Daniel. Mark, you still here with us?
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump into your other role because you are a man that wears many hats. You want to talk some about the IAA. Can you tell us what the IAA is?
Well, this is probably one of the most misunderstood organizations in the territory. So hopefully I could bring some clarity to everybody now. IAA is not affiliated with the Department of Education. The IAA is a non-profit organization that runs scholastic sports in this district. Now, St. Croix, which is St. Thomas and St. John. St. Croix also has an IAA. And the St. Thomas St. John IAA is a member. We are affiliated with the National Federation of High School Sports in the States. Now, St. Croix also has re-affiliated themselves with the association, the National Association. So right now we both under the same umbrella. So, but our job is really to put schedules, clinics. We put schedules and leagues on and stuff together for our schools, for our member schools. So we can do trainings and we can do clinics for our officials and administrators and other personnel within our organization. But for years, we have been operating without support without financial support from the government. Now, recently, the government has helped us out, assisted us financially, but a lot of people don't realize that we don't necessarily get money directly from the government to do what we do, and St. Croix is in the same boat. So, but like I said, recently funds have been made available, and we have to go through the process. But we have had some assistance to help us out with different things that we have done. But in the past, we have really been doing our own thing. The funds that we use to help us function are the funds that we get from the schools where they pay the membership fees, the fundraisers, the funds that we get from the Martin Luther King tournament, which McDonald's has been sponsoring for, I believe, the last 5 years, I believe. And then also Innovative. Via Innovative well, they're innovative no more, it's Via. So Via has been sponsoring the Talkie Bowl for the last since I was in school. when it was like telco, when I was in school. So yeah, so Via has been a long-term partner with the St. Thomas St. John IAA, and we really appreciate them for that.
Now, with you saying that St. Croix and the St. Thomas St. John district are now under the same umbrella, does that go for all the rules as well? Because I know at one point there was a discrepancy between the age for JV players in the St. Croix district and in the St. Thomas St. John district. Is it all the same?
Well, that's something both individual. That's something both IAs will have to determine and come together. It's not officially that way now, but I think we realize that if we're gonna really have meaningful change in what we do, we should try to make sure that we are on the same page when it comes to the ages, the rules, the regulations, and everything that we do. So, but we are working together on that right now.
All right, now jumping into your role, what is your role with the IAA?
Well, I was the president I believe I was the president for about 8 or 9 years. Presently, I am the treasurer of the organization. So right now, we are trying to organize, and we're trying to see if we could put something together. So once we're looking at two things. We're trying to see if we could put a tentative schedule together that once the stay-at-home order is lifted, and if we have enough participating schools, that we might be able to put a mini scheduled program together for our schools. And then once hopefully the COVID thing is a thing of the past, or it's real, or the I would say sanctions, but the regulations or restrictions are lifted a little more, that we might be able to have team sports. That maybe we're gonna try and put a plan together that maybe we could start with sports like baseball and softball, and hopefully by April or so, if the sanctions are not sanctions, I keep saying sanctions, if the regulations are lifted enough where we can play basketball and football, we'll do that. Of course, we have to abide by the CDC rules. We have to abide by what the government is telling us that is safe and safe for our student athletes, the coaches, officials, and and the parents and whomever, all the stakeholders. So we have to abide by that. But we're still putting together a plan so that when things are relieved, we are able to do what we have to do.
Now, what sports is the IAA in control of, and what sports are you guys not in control of?
That's a good question. We are in control of all the sports except tackle football. Now, tackle football, we stepped away from tackle football because of the insurance issue. I wouldn't say how much we pay for insurance, but once the organization pays a liability insurance every year to protect our officials, our organizers, our coaches. Well, I'm not sure about coaches, but everyone that's within our organization, it protects us. So once we added tackle football, that premium went through the roof. Mm-hmm. And so it was something that we just couldn't handle. So the Department of Education, and we didn't want to take the risk of running it and not being covered. So the Department of Education has taken up the mantle and doing the things that they need to do to make sure tackle football happens. No. But all the other sports, we are the one that administer those sports.
Now, while you guys are in control, the coaches and the student athletes are the most important people in this situation. What support does IA give for the students and coaches?
Well, okay, so people have to understand the different roles. Schools are responsible for putting their teams together. If training the coaches, hiring the coaches, all the stuff that goes along with putting a team, having a team in a league, the schools are responsible for. Now, IAA, we can put on coaching clinics. We can, but it's not something that is mandated of us. But the schools need to understand, some of their responsibilities. So a lot of times, I am not sure if the principals, the administrators of the schools fully understand what it entails to have a athletic program. I mean, we want to do things for the children, but you have to make sure that you can do what that you can pay your coaches, that you can provide uniforms, that you can pay the official fees for the games, that you can get your children to and from the game. All of those stuff are responsibilities that the individual schools have to take on. So we can help as much as we can help, but it's really not our obligation. Our obligation is to put a league together, give you guys schedules, give out schedules, and administer and make sure that those schedules are adhered to, followed, and make sure everything runs smoothly, which could be a challenge from time to time down here. So, well, not let me not sit down here. Anyway, normally when you have things at this larger scale, you will have some level of conflict.
Now, as far as eligibility goes, is that the responsibility of the school or is that IAA as well?
Well, that would be, when you say eligibility, what do you mean? Grades, or you mean?
Grades,
well, let me,
age, behavior.
Okay. It's on us. It's us as the IAA. We set the guidelines for age. We tell them, we want you to have a C average. We put those criteria in place. We have the rule that if you in order to play a varsity sport, you have to be in high school. That's a rule that we have. So we set those obligations out. So because for some private schools, sometimes it's a hard thing for them to field a team. So sometimes they want to bring up an A grader to play varsity sports. And another rule that we have that we set is if you play varsity, you can't go back down and play JV. So, and that's not like the States. The States, you could bounce up and down. You could play JV and varsity in the States. But what I've learned, because sometimes we have problems or discrepancies down here, and I would call the national office and ask for their insight or their insight on the situation. And basically I usually get the same answer, that each district or territory pretty much sets their own guidelines and rules that are germane to them. So we can do what we feel is in the best interest of our student athletes and our program.
Now, is there any plans for improvement that will be made by the IAA for the possible upcoming season?
Well, the biggest challenge with IAA is finding reliable help. We generally have the same 4 to 5 people doing 99.9% of the work, and it's tiring because we don't get paid. So I don't know if people know that, but the only people in our organization that gets compensated are the officials, the game officials. So myself doing this for 8-9 years has been a labor of love. I've never gotten paid a dime to run in the leagues. Our commissioners don't get paid. Our coaches, the coaches that coach in our leagues, we don't pay them, but the schools or their school is responsible to pay them. But the only people in our organizations that get paid is the game officials, and that's it. So And in this day and age, it's hard for people to give their time, to volunteer their time to do certain things. So it's tough. So the level of help that we get will really go a long way in making sure that our program runs to the best of its ability.
Now, accolades, awards, trophies, and those kind of things are something that makes the student athlete feel good at that age. Are there any award ceremonies or trophies given out to the teams participating during the school year?
We usually only give out the championship award. Now, and like I said, that's, the award ceremonies are really a function of the school. So each school are supposed to honor their athletes by having an award. Now, when I was health and PE coordinator, I don't remember what year it was, but I did a massive award ceremony for the elementary program. I mean, we went all out. So we had dinner at BCB. It was in the cafeteria. And then we had the award ceremony at BCB in the auditorium. And the auditorium was packed. So I don't know how many people we had that night, but it was a lot. And we gave out trophies. Miss April Phillips called out each student athlete's name. It must have been 1,000. She stand up there and called every child name up to get their certificate and to get their team awards. Wow. So it was a good night, and it only happened once. Maybe something else that we could do at the elementary level, but it was a good ceremony. It went long, but we had a lot of teams to cover, and then we had entertainment in between the presentation. So, but it was a good night, and it was one of my bigger accomplishments as health and PE coordinator when I was there.
Now, as far as IAA is concerned, not necessarily looking towards the Department of Education, how has COVID affected the upcoming 2020 sports season?
Well, it kind of hurt us real bad. It really put us in a bad spot. So, like I said, we're trying to put a program together that will keep our kids active. It's going to be at a much smaller scale because we know that a lot of the schools are going to be virtual until January. So we won't know how many schools will be able to commit to having any type of program until we have our first IAA meeting. But we really want to put something together to keep our children active and keep them moving. And then once the regulations are relaxed, then we will be able to add more to our program, and hopefully we'll be able to have something for our student athletes this year.
Now, as you know, everybody knows it's been on national TV. Sports is currently going on in the States right now. Do you think that we should be in the same situation here in Virgin Islands?
Well, I want to see our children play. I'm a coach. I want to coach, right. But we have to be safe in anything that we do. So our numbers were going up for a long time, but now they on its way back down since the stay-at-home order has been instituted. So once things get a little better and we could kind of reevaluate where we are, then maybe we can do, we can put a small scale program together, and we are working on one. So we're going to try to put it to get it out there. We won't know how much we can do until the schools tell us, hey, okay, we're going, we'll participate, or we're going to wait until February when the public schools go participate. We going to see what they tell us, and then we'll go from there.
Now, elementary sports is something that often gets left behind, to be completely honest. When it comes to sports, we only think about junior varsity and varsity. What can we do to build elementary sports up or give them a better chance?
Boy, our elementary program. I'll tell you my advice. This isn't, officially whatever, but because I don't work with the government anymore. But I really believe that the government schools need athletic directors at their schools. They don't have athletic directors. They have chairpersons of physical education. Correct. So we really need to get athletic directors in these schools so that they can oversee and properly manage the athletic programs at their institutions. So on the elementary level, that's the level that we should be laying a strong foundation. Our better coaches really should be at the elementary level.
Correct.
And one of the biggest misnomers that has been plaguing the Virgin Islands school program for a long time is that, usually the school personnel, they wouldn't pick outside coaches to coach at their schools. And when I say outside, I mean non-AFT individuals to coach at their schools. And it's because if you weren't an AFT individual, you could not get paid from the Department of Education. But that didn't mean that you couldn't get paid from the school, because there were schools that had non-AFT individuals coach, and the school paid those individuals directly. So of course that has changed. I think it has changed for the last 3-4 years now, that anyone can be paid for services rendered on the public school side. But we need to give our children better attention on the elementary level, and our elementary programs need to seek out the best coaches for their programs. Of course, it's a little hard because people work 9 to 5, and elementary programs is normally right after school. So your practice time and game times go generally between 3 and 5 o'clock. So, and it's not everybody that can get off of work at that time to lend a hand to our children. So it's a little complex problem, but I think it's something that can be solved. One of the things that we as an organization can do to kind of help is maybe provide more trainings, but we have a problem down there in the Virgin Islands that sometimes you offer training and people don't want to come. So, so we just have to take it more seriously, and the individuals that are helping our children has to look beyond the stipend, and they have to focus on developing their children. So, so I am hoping at some point that our schools will have athletic directors, and those athletic directors will be empowered to select who they think are the best individuals for their program, regardless of whether they work at the school or not. And I think that'll be a step in the right direction if we get to that point.
Now, I think one of the big things about elementary sports is that you don't necessarily get assistant coaches because they don't get paid. Now, while it's not all about the pay, nobody in the Virgin Islands is really living great. So getting paid for your time, it's rewarding.
Yes.
Why would you not have assistant coaches at the elementary level where the foundation is, but you have 4 and 5 assistant coaches at the high school level? That seems a little backwards to me. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I think at the elementary level, you should have at least 2 coaches, because I mean, if you think about it, like I've been at games that one of my players got hurt, and I'm the only coach. So now I have to make a decision. Do I have to coach a team, or do I go to the hospital with this individual? So, and it's always a good thing to have 2 people there, so that one person can take care of the team and the other person can go with the individual to the hospital or meet whatever needs that individual had. So now in both instances that I could remember, parents stepped in and took the child to the hospital. I stayed with the team, and then I went back and then I went to the hospital after the game was over. But it should be a situation where we have more than one person there. And then we need to get to the point that we have athletic trainers at these games.
Definitely.
That's a big thing. I've been talking to Dr. Smith about it for a long time. I've been talking to some other individuals about it. So that's a challenge we have to overcome at some point. We have it for the most part at the football games. I'm pretty sure each team has a trainer, but we need it for basketball. We need it for all other sports. Because I remember at Udorican one time, I can't remember the boy's name right now, but he broke his foot in 2 places out there at Udorican. So, and he had to have surgery that night. So, athletics, stuff happens in athletics. So we have to make sure that we have the supplies, and we have to do our due diligence, so that if something goes bad, at least we have all our ducks in a row, and we have all the help needed there for our children.
Now, I heard you mention elected directors, elected trainers. How important is it to have people with degrees in those fields, in those high positions?
Well, for athletic trainers, you need it, because you can't be an athletic trainer without a degree. I don't think there's a degree for athletic directors, but unless you are in sports administration. So actually, let me take that back, because when I did my master's, my concentration was in athletics, at school athletics. Right. Because I remember one of the projects that I did was I was the AD at a school, and I had to do a budget for the entire year, including uniforms, travel, blah, 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 all that stuff. I did it. I made believe that I was at All Saints, because I came from All Saints school. So I just did a whole budget for the year with all the teams and blah, blah. And so you do get that kind of training, and it's important, because some of the things that you need to do, you need to know how to make a schedule. You need to you need to know different things. Even like one of the things that is very important, like down here we need to make the athletic program more like a business. Because like I think here, if you have a position, you just assume you'll be that coach for the next 10 years, as long as you want it. And it really shouldn't be like that. It should be based on your performance. And if you've been coaching for the last 3 years and you haven't shown any improvement, you haven't helped any kids get to college, you haven't done any of those things, then AD should be in his right to find somebody else. So because teachers get year-to-year contracts. So I don't know, it needs to be, we need to kind of put a little bit more pressure on our coaches to succeed, to excel, and not think that is something that is just given to you because you show up.
I feel like sports just gets the handout, so it's like, okay, well, you've been doing this for years, so you continue to do it.
Yeah.
Whether you ain't good with the players, whether you're losing all the games. Mm-hmm. Sports just is always on a back burner, so you never get the right people in the right positions. And then when it comes to athletic directors and stuff like that, you see situations where it's, at the end of the day, we in St. Thomas is who you know. There are people that qualify for these jobs that won't get these jobs because maybe they're too young, maybe they're inexperienced as far as that particular department, maybe they don't know the people who are in charge of hiring the people for that job. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if we have people that have sports management degrees, put them in sports management situations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Until we do that, we can still be in the same spot over and over, because these people going to school, they're learning stuff about sports. They're learning stuff that you don't know as an outsider, or as somebody who's been in a position without the degree. You're not going to know everything that they're learning in these upcoming years. You might know what they learned back in the early 2000s, but 2020 and 2010 is a different time in school. So we need to work people in those positions that could actually make the difference, make the change, and run it how it's supposed to be run.
Bottom line is we need to take sports more seriously. We don't. And the one thing that we have is we have good raw material. We have good athletes. We have a lot of children who are very, very athletic. And if you think about it, it's because the place is hilly. If we still have people that walk to school, so all that stuff, it builds your motor skills. And I would like to get IAA to the point that we can have 25 games, at least 25 games per sport, including tournaments, in our school program. And then the other thing that we need to do also, because one of my pet peeves, and although it's my pet peeve, I don't give parents that do this any wrong, because we're losing a lot of children to the States. People talk about, Charlotte Amalie over the last couple of years in basketball has declined or what have you. Some people have been saying that. But, Jordan in the States, if Jordan was here, he would have probably been a Charlotte Amalie. Roberts in the States, if he was here, he probably would have been a Charlotte Amalie. If we have these children here, that's probably where they would have been. But we need to have a blend where our school program is offering at least 25 games per year. And then we need to have a good outside school program. So we need to have a good club program. And what I would like to see, and, I just hope it gets done, that we able to take the best basketball players from the territory, train them to the States for 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, go to the States, play basketball, go all over the country, and then come back at the end of the summer. And I think we need to do it. We need to have an elite team, and we need to have like 3 levels, right, and have all of them go. Now our elite program would be go to most of the tournaments, and then you could filter it down as we go. But we really need to put some incentive in place where we can get our best athletes. We could pool them together and then take them away. No, because and we are not reinventing the wheel, because CB and Jarvis did it a couple years ago. So when Jabari Brown and Tegan and Cuthbert and Fish and Caesar and all them boys were on that team, they went up to Nike camps and beat teams that have present NBA players on it. So we need to do that. And then the last piece that we have to do, though, is we need to develop a system where we can transition our children from school to college. So they got to take the SAT, not in 12th grade. They got to take it from before then. They got to make sure that the grades are good. We have to make sure they go into class and doing the things that they need to do, because that's a big part of it too. So, because usually when our kids fail on the college level, it's usually never because they weren't talented enough. Usually it's something else. It's either they weren't going to class, or it was grades, or it was, but it was something outside of the sport.
Right.
So to me, that's telling me that's things that we can change. That's things that we can fix. So I think if we're really serious about sports, we should be able to do that. And look, we have the organizations in place already. You got Zero Tolerance, you got VI Ballers, you got Soldiers, you got Enough Respect, you got Positive Guidance, you got all these groups, okay? And everybody going in silos. And my thing is this: get the best from Positive Guidance, the best from Enough Respect, the best from Zero Tolerance, get the best. And then say, okay, the coaching staff for Positive Guidance, where you will coach this team, and this is your team. The coaching staff for Soldiers, this is your team, and blah blah blah. And let's work it out, and let's go, and let's do it in the betterment of our children. If this COVID thing didn't happen, I was taking 5 teams to Orlando for volleyball, and my 18 and under team had kids from St. Thomas and St. Croix. So, my thing was, let's get the best from the VI and let's go. And let's give our kids a fighting chance.
Now, another big thing we have in the Borderlands is a lack of support for female sports. How can we build upon this? Because it's terrible. You have these great ladies that are great in sports, but nobody comes to the games. Nobody want to coach them. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, I told Richie a couple of years ago, I showed him a picture of a team, Lady Bees, I think Honeybees, Lady Bees. We took a team to St. Croix, Chicken and myself, Delia Thomas, that's a government name. We took a team to St. Croix. Tradisha was our star pitcher. We had Brittany Brain on that team, like Asia Campbell, the Commission sisters, Valerie and Sydney. No, not Valerie. Danielle, sorry. It's 4 of them. But Danielle and Sydney was on that team. Who else was on the team? Precious was on the team. And we went to St. Croix, and we didn't have a league over here in St. Thomas. We just used to practice them. But Tradisha was that good. And we beat the first place team in St. Croix. And they put an all-star team together, and we beat them too. And we had their second strict team beat us. That was mainly my fault, because I had a pitcher who was giving me a little attitude, so I didn't take off the mount. So she kept walking people until she got act together. And so when she got act together, we went ahead and made the change, and we lost that game by 1 run. But when I went away, that stopped. But I want to start that back up, and that's why I started my club with Island Mix. Island Mix was something that Charlie Davis started back in 2002. And we had Janelle Sarro and Sasha Gomes on a team. And Janelle got a scholarship on that one place she had when she was, we were on the outside. She was on the outside, went to the Wild Wall of Sports. And she got set outside, hit the ball just by the 10-foot line, and they put the libero. I didn't have liberos back then. Me think I had liberos back then. Somebody dig up the ball, and the ball came floating back over the net. Janelle shuffled her feet, jump in the air, and drive the ball 10 foot. All them coaches on the sideline were just salivating. They were like, "Who in the world is this girl?" And and that was a introduction for her. So both her and Sasha, both of them ended up going to college with on volleyball scholarships. I think Sasha went initially for tennis, and then she came back to volleyball. I think one other girl on that team, Crystal, I believe, got a scholarship to Florida Southern. I'm not sure if any of the other girls on that original team went to school and scholarships, but it was a start. And so we need to do more. And my thing is, I want to get these young ladies playing. I want to get them playing softball. I already told Chicken, get ready, because I'm going to have you come back, because we're going to start back up our softball program again. And now to me, it's a little easier now, since Richie doing what he's doing. We could just put them in Richie League and get them playing. So I want to make avenues for our young ladies so that they could continue to play the sports that they love.
All right, so you have survived our interview section. We can actually move on now to the interactive section, but I want to let you guys on the live stream know that you can send in your questions for Mr. Mark Daniel, and we will have that question and answer segment right after this or that. All right, so you ready for the interactive segment, Mark?
Ah, boy, let's go, buddy.
All right. So this one is called this or that. I gave you an option. You choose this or you choose that. Simple, right?
Uh-huh.
No, I'm going to tell you from now, I'm going to judge you based on the decisions you make when you have this or that. All right. So if you make a bad choice,
at this point in my life, I good with myself. So
you make a bad choice, I'm gonna let you know.
No problem.
Cookie Point or Limburg Bay?
Say that again.
Cookie Point or Limburg Bay?
Cookie Point.
Why?
Cookie Point Beach. Cookie Point Beach is one of the best beach. Cookie Point. I think I spend most of my time at Cookie Point Beach and Limburg Bay, but Cookie Point.
Do you live in town or country?
Well, I grew up in the middle of the island. I grew up on Rappoon Hill. So
That's dead in the middle.
And in the middle, I tell you. So my sister, I have an older sister. She went to Kent. The rest of us went Charlotte Mali. So I don't know.
I'll take that answer then. You grew up in the middle of the island. You ain't really biased in that situation. That's all right. World Series or NBA Finals? Game 7.
That's a tough one.
There we go.
I funny. I could sit down and watch a baseball game. Mm-hmm. I will go in World Series. And not a lot of people could do that. But I could sit down and watch a baseball game. Listen, I grew up watching the Cubs.
Oh, that's horrible.
Well, okay. Hey, listen, I will tell somebody this morning. I could have gone to school, come home in the afternoon, turn on the TV to Channel 7, and the Cubs are. That's
true. That's very true. That's where a lot of their fan base come from. A lot of Atlanta Braves fans too, because their games are always televised.
Yeah. They used to be on Channel 6, and TBS used to be Channel 6.
All right, moving on. Johnny Cake or Patty? This is some pressure here.
Johnny Cake or Patty?
You're breathing up.
Patty.
Why Patty?
The additional substance is good. So the saltfish or the meat or the we get all kind of patty now. You could get pork chop patty, you could get lobster patty, you could get all kind of patty.
You're right.
Patty.
All right, chess or checkers?
Chess.
Why?
I learned chess at Charlotte Mali High School. I used to play chess. We used to play. We went and we played against All Saints, so we beat them. And we played against Antley School, and we beat them. So Mr. Wilkinson taught me how to play chess back in the day. So even when I was at college, I won a chess tournament.
No, I would say that I can play chess and I can play checkers, but chess games could go on for 5 days, 2 weeks, 7 months. I don't have the patience for it. I definitely take it. Let's get it done right away. We get it done tonight, we're good.
I haven't really played chess in a long time, but yeah, chess.
All right. Would you rather lose your memory or not be able to create new ones?
Lose my memory or not be able to create new ones. I want to be able to create new ones.
But do you want to forget all the good things about the past?
Well, I'm a type of well, you see, because I'm a type of person, I really analyze a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I guess the real answer to the question is, if I could remember the things that I've done in the past, it will help me create new memories. Because I'm the type of person that I learn from my mistakes in life. I especially with this COVID-19, when I was home, all I had time to do was think. Right. So I'm really appreciative of a lot of stuff that I had in my life. I can't complain too much because I had a lot of opportunities and I had a lot of chances to do different things. Some of them I took advantage of, and some of them I didn't. And so I've learned a lot from my missteps in my life.
All right. Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Adidas becoming a trend in different ways now. A lot of basketball players, a lot of athletes period are actually starting to Adidas now. So
that's almost Michael LeBron James in with Adidas?
No. LeBron James with Nike.
Oh, he went? Okay.
So a lot of athletes, these younger set of athletes are on the Adidas wave now. So a lot of them really signing to Adidas. So it might be a shift in power in the next 10 to 20 years.
I grew up with Michael Jordan.
All right. I really don't want to go because I'm definitely a Jordan fan, so you definitely got to with Nike. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
Bungee jumping or skydiving?
Neither. You
gotta pick one.
Me jumping out a powerfully good plane. But I guess if I have to pick one, I would do skydiving because I don't see how you going. If I have to pick one, at least I'll but neither. Maybe at one point in my life I would have done it, but if I have to pick one, I'll probably do skydiving.
No bungee jumping.
Nah, that one ain't happening at all.
That one they're a little more impulsive. You gotta be just like, okay, let me jump right now, because if I gotta stand up on top of that bridge and look down there, it ain't happening. It can't happen.
Yeah. Nah, I mean about that.
All right. And the last one, Griffith Ballpark or McBean?
Oh boy, Griffith. I'll tell you why. I've played growing up. I played softball, and I went cancrying, so most of our games were in town. But one of my memories when I was growing up, I was in the Boy Scouts. Back in the day when the Boy Scouts was the Boy Scouts, and we had a softball tournament down at Griffith. So I was a pitcher for our team, and I was the first bat. So we win the tournament too. So I have some good memories there. So and I've had some good memories at Griffith Ballpark. I have too much at not playing anyway at McBean.
Well, I am super biased. I did everything in my life at Griffith Ballpark. I play football, I play basketball, baseball. Griffith is a place to be. In town, right on the waterfront, it gets scenery. Griffith is it. Just Griffith. There ain't no question about that one day.
Yeah.
All right, so you survived our interactive segment. We're actually going to move on to the question and answers that we received from the viewers on the live stream.
I forget something. You asked me what sports I play. I had tryout. Charlotte Mali had a cricket team.
Oh, what? No, definitely not. No.
Charlotte Mali had a cricket team. Mr. Gums, you remember I don't know if Mr. Gums was there when you were there, but he was a science teacher for a long time. I got to be 30 years, 30 plus years. But my father from Navy, so I say, well, he's a big cricket man. I could remember growing up watching cricket on TV. So I said, well, let me go try out for the cricket team. So I went. The last one practice, because if you know how hard a cricket ball is.
I don't want to find out.
My son, this dude was batting, and he had this big dude bowling. He was about 6'4", 2 and change, and he bowled up fast ball, and he hit the pitch and come up and hit homeboy in his, And when they pull out that cup and that cup was broke, I said, no man, this sport ain't for me. I done. I never went back. Yeah, the cup was broke. The cup was shut on.
Who did Charlotte Mali play in cricket?
And they play in the league down at Cancrine.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They play in the league down at Cancrine.
That's definitely a piece of history there that I didn't know. So I guess we might need to because actually we have a lot of kids that actually can't play cricket or are fans of cricket. So it wouldn't be a part there for the school teams to play cricket as well, especially baked in the Caribbean. So if anybody who have some pole here and there, we might need to get cricket into the schools for the children.
Well, they had tried. I don't remember the guy's name, but he had went to when I was working education. I did take him to some of the schools, and he did. They have like an introductory program. So I don't know if they still have it now, but they do.
All right, well, we'll see. That sounds like something that should be done, and it might be done in the near future, especially now that we're limited on sports that we can play at all. But we ain't playing none.
Yeah.
We're gonna be really limited when we do start to play sports. So cricket wouldn't be a bad idea, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, questions from the live stream. If you were the governor now, that's pressure, by the way. If you were the governor now, how would you bring back sports or just activities for children?
Youth commission, I would make sure put people in the various positions that I know going to move and shake athletics. I would make sure that I think in education, you need somebody dedicated to athletics. I don't know if much people know this, but the division that they have at Department of Education right now, the sports and athletics program is something that I thought up of and actually put the paperwork together to get started. So to me, they would work hand in hand with sports park and recreation, because I personally believe that sports park and recreation should have access to the facilities, the school facilities at some point. So maybe at 7, or so that they could run programs in the facilities, because the gyms and stuff are for the people. And if school ends at 7:30, if they could put a basketball program or something program together after that, I think it would be good. And if Department of Sports Park and Recreation could have access to the gyms during the summer also and put something meaningful together, that would be great. But I would and then also I would try to figure out how to fund that program. So now, of course, we have to understand that when you get into government, there's only so much you can do, because as a governor, you need to get things through the legislature in order for it to get done. So, but I would fund it and then put programs towards it. So the Youth Commission have a Youth Olympics, those things that we used to have before. Youth Commission was a little before my time, but I have heard a number of stories about it, and they stopped it for whatever reason. I would try to bring back the inter-neighborhood leagues. I would try to get our communities involved, our individual communities. So if we could have annual retreat and Bavoni and Corwin, Bodo, each of these communities have, most of them have some kind of center involved. And I would try to open up those centers and have activities going on through those centers, and then have a league, have leagues through those centers. So we'll have, we could have a schedule of sports, and we could have, Smith Bay playing Anna's Retreat, and we could have Corwin playing Round the Field, and we could have different games and and different leagues like that. And then we just rotate the sports and have people in those entities to kind of run those and be the head of those facilities. Now, of course, that takes a lot of money. That takes a lot of coordination. But my belief about sports is, if sports is done right, you can raise money to support it. It can raise money to support itself. You don't necessarily need to get handouts from the government to make it work. And I think if we have that kind of mindset, we should be able to put something in place to get where we want to go. We may not be able to do it all at one time, but if we start, eventually we'll get to where we want it to be.
I definitely agree with that. Another question from the viewers. I think we answered this one already, but we could give a brief answer to clarify it. Why are all sports canceled for the school year, and over in the mainland, programs are being allowed to run with specific guidelines?
Well, I think it's because of how the activity with the COVID virus has escalated here. I could remember when it was, we had a few cases, and then it ballooned to over 200 cases. So I think in order for the governor to get some kind of control over it, he put this stay-at-home order in place. So now I think it's down to, the last thing I saw today was 100, and I think it's under 150 now, I think. So it's kind of going down. So once it's down, we can do what we need to do. So, but understand, when I say we, the St. Thomas St. John IAA and the St. Croix IAA we are working to put something in place so that when when we are allowed to, we will be able to put something in place that is safe and that is approved by the CDC.
That's a great answer. And honestly, I just feel like eventually we're going to get to it. It's just how soon and what would be the stipulations surrounding how we get to play.
Yeah, so we're going to do something. We're working on something. And as long as they allow us to do it, we'll have it.
We have another question. Do you think that the Department of Sports, Park and Recreation and Athletics and the IAA will all work together for the upcoming season?
I don't see why not. Over here in St. Thomas, we work hand in hand with sports park and recreation, especially with our elementary program. I know, I believe in St. Croix, they also have a partnership. I'm not too familiar with how entailed sports park and recreation is with their program, but I believe they do have a partnership. But we will continue to work with, because sports park and recreation really is our officials on the elementary level. So we really work closely with them when it comes to our program, the elementary program.
All right. We have another question. We know you created the Division of Sports and Athletics for the Department of Education when you were there a couple of years ago. What was the true purpose of the division along with each position, and why did you create it? A lot.
Well, it's a lot, but it's very simple. When I became coordinator when I became the St. Thomas and St. John coordinator for health and physical education, I realized that there was a void. One of the things that at the time when I guess it was good timing, because when I became health and PE coordinator in St. Thomas, there wasn't going to be any elementary sports, because what happened was sports park and recreation used to run the basketball and I'm not sure if they used to run anything else, but I know sports park and recreation used to do the basketball. And then apparently Department of Education was starting giving out stipends to individuals who are running the various elementary leagues. So people within education took over that task, and so the sports park and recreation people weren't really running it anymore. And then when that stipend went away, they went back to try to get sports park and recreation to do it, and they were like, no. So I picked up the mantle and I did it. And not only did I do it, but I added a few sports. I added baseball, I added softball, and I added flag football. So I could remember down at Frenchtown when we was playing when we were getting ready to do the first pitch for softball. I don't remember who the schools were playing at the time, but Sylvia Thomas was the umpire, and she stopped before she do anything. She's like, look, we need to understand that this, for the first time in St. Thomas and John, we are having a softball game played at the elementary level. And really at the time, I didn't really think nothing of it, but she made a big deal of it. And I was like, and it made me stop and think. I was like, really? So, so I introduced those three sports. And since then, the elementary program has really been going. So I saw that there was a need for it. And so that's when I approached, at that time, the commissioner was Dana Fred Gregory, and Senator Gregory, and she said it's a good plan, a good proposal, but you're going to have to give it to the next people coming, because, she was on her way out. So, but we had a need for it. And so that's why I proposed it, and that's why, it's functioning now. And really the true purpose of that office, really, when I thought about it, was to support the St. Thomas St. John IAA and the St. Croix IAAs, because we'll be flirting with danger, playing with fire, if we make that office the main lead for athletics in the territory, and it's a political position. So we need to maintain the district office, the district organizations, to ensure that whomever is in power, that these organizations are still functioning and our children still have an opportunity to participate in scholastic sports.
Definitely. Hit the nail on the head with that one, because you would be in a bad situation if that was to arise.
Yeah.
Final question.
And it could happen just how they got rid of the youth commission, right? So, so somebody could become the new governor and say, well, we want to do this and blah, 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 and bam, next thing you know, it's done. It's gone. So
let's hold our breath for that one, because that's trouble. That's really trouble.
Yeah.
Last question. how do you feel about the Virginians having a training facility specifically for those who play on the national level?
We need one. One of the places that I think, I don't know if we own it anymore, but St. John, if you go to, it's Carroll Bay. No, wait, which one? Cruise Bay, yeah, it's Carroll Bay. So you go to Carroll Bay, you have the field out there. They have a basketball court, and they have some structures out there because we used to camp out there for Boy Scouts. So I know that would be an excellent training facility. I think they could build up dormitories, and you're away from everybody else. So if you go over there to train, you're training, and you could build a cafeteria, you could build dorms, and you kind of away from everybody, everything. And you don't have to really spend money in traveling here, there, and everywhere, and worrying about putting up people. And all of our teams can use it. And then what we could do is, during the down times, we could host AAU tournaments. So we have to think about things like that because, people will come down to the Virgin Islands to do stuff. If we build it, they say if we build it, they will come. That was Field of Dreams. Yeah, if we build it, they will come. I think so because, we want the people in the States when they get to December and November and it's 2 degrees outside, they're trying to come out and they would love to come down here and do some things if we have the facilities to entertain it.
All right, I want you to just give a shout out to any of the teams you currently coaching, any coaches that helped you along the way, or any organization that you are part of.
Well, I have to give a shout out to Island Mix. Like I said, Charlie Davis was the original person that started it up, and I just kind of taking his mantle and running with it. So Island Mix, my coaching staff, Miriam, Mary, Matt, I must see Miss Figueroa, Melanie. She's a bread. She gonna catch me for that. But anyway, the Volleyball Federation, Miss Hobson and Mr. Isaac and those people over there with the Volleyball Federation. I would like to thank my coaches and all the people that I could remember. Miss Francis, I was in the band. I remember one time when we played. Let me see. I think it was St. Croix. We're playing St. Croix. Well, playing. I think we're playing St. Croix. They come over to play us, and we had a big parade or something like that. So it was a couple of us. We had to play in the parade in the band, play the first half, do the halftime show with the band, and play the second half of the game. So thank God the game was over from the first quarter. So got the first play of the game, and then showed me a 50-yard touchdown. Like I line up, Kenny has said from Jump Street. From the first play of the game, we going deep. Yeah. So we got the tip, we got the coin toss. Like, oh, we win it. Okay, we won the ball. So first play of the game, I line up. I look up. I see the cornerback cheating that way. I look at Eden look at me, and we know what time it was. First play of the game, touchdown. So from that, the game was done. But anyway, but Miss Francis was really instrumental in my life. Miss Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith in the business office at Charlotte Mali, Miss Henneman, Miss Thomas, Miss Ford. I had a lot of people, Sticky and Kenny. I had a lot of people to really help shape my life. Mr. Claxton, Mr. Gilpin, Coach Blake. I had a lot of people, Pops. But I appreciate it. I appreciate all the help that I got, and I just trying to give back to the community and trying to give back to our kids and try to help them realize their dreams. I got to thank my parents, my father, my mother, my brothers, my sister. Thank my whole family, my uncles, and all of them for helping me out, and hopefully I could continue. Hopefully God will give me the health and strength and the wisdom to kind of continue doing what I do and just be a blessing to others as others has been to me.
All right, Mr. Mark Donahue, and thank you for coming on the show. Did a great job, provided a lot of great information that our viewers might or might not have known. So we definitely want to thank you for coming on, taking time out of your busy schedule as an athletic director to come on our show Between the Lines and just speak to the people about your experiences and where sports is going from here on.
All right, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. And you guys keep doing what you're doing. It's very, 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 very needed. And hopefully you guys will be able to touch a lot of lives as you keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right, Live Wire fans. Before we go, we know we just had the essay contest that was wrapped up earlier this week. We just want to give you guys an update to let you guys know that the winners will be announced on September 8th. And as we did have our give-a-thon about 2 weeks ago, and we raised the money to get the prizes and the other things for the students who participated in the essay contest, we do have our prizes here tonight. We have, as we presented before, our headphones. We have 3 different sets of headphones for all of the winners. We also have these pair of headphones. There's some Beats, some nice headphones. We have another pair of Beat headphones. So each person that is going to be in second place in our essay contest in the 3 different divisions will receive a pair of headphones that we are providing for them. Our first place winners, actually, let's go to third place first. Our third place winners are actually going to receive a book bag full of school supplies with a variety of different things inside of that. And our first place winners are going to all receive laptops at the 3 different levels, which is high school, junior high, and elementary from 4th to 6th. Not forgetting our kindergarten to 3rd graders, we also have prizes for them as well. We just want to show you the laptops that we have gotten for our first place winners. We have some Lenovo laptops here for each of the winners. We have all 3 of them, so we definitely want to thank you guys for the job you did donating and supporting the cause with the give-a-thon. We have the prizes here, and we are ready to announce them on September 8th. So guys, stay tuned to the Live Wire page and join us next week for another episode of Between the Lines. Thank you guys for watching, and good night.
I'm doing great, even though every day's not fine. But still I woke up today, another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa, effort I'm built for boundary. Whoa, whoa, effort I'm built for boundary.